Hello, friends. Almost all countries hear the media constantly insisting on the need to protect the rights of prisoners, conduct educational activities, and ban the death penalty. Therefore, many European prisons look more like vacation homes than places of detention. But in other countries, even some highly developed ones, things are different. So in today's video, I will tell you about the most secure prison on the planet, about the conditions in an infamous Indian prison, and about how the most dangerous criminals sentenced to life are guarded. Alcatraz prison is probably the most famous prison in the world. It is no longer in service, but at one time it was the most secure prison in the world. That's why people talked a lot about it, even those who had nothing to do with criminals or law enforcement agencies. At one time, the most dangerous criminals in the world were kept in Alcatraz prison. Among them were the legendary Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, and the famous crime boss, Bumpy Johnson. It was almost impossible to escape from Alcatraz. Just the very fact that it was located on an island a couple of kilometers away from San Francisco would be enough to make escaping it highly improbable. Even getting out of the cell was extremely hard to do, let alone swimming in cold water with a strong current in the prison uniform. All the service tunnels were completely cemented off. There were guard towers around the prison, and gun galleries were located along the perimeter of the prison building. In almost 30 years of existence, until its closure in 1963, only 3 prisoners managed to escape from Alcatraz. Frank Morris, Clarence Anglin, and John Anglin escaped in June 1962, but they were never found, and therefore, most people believe that their escape was unsuccessful and that they were killed by the strong current. Most of you probably never have even heard of a prison called ADX Florence. But it is this prison, also unofficially known as the Alcatraz of the Rockies, that is considered to be the most guarded and impregnable in the world. It's literally impossible to escape from it. At least, no one has been able to do it so far. This is a correctional facility with super maximum security. ADX Florence was opened in 1994, and its maximum capacity is 490 inmates, but it currently holds 344 inmates. It doesn't sound like a lot for the 20-hectare prison, but only the most dangerous prisoners in the entire world are kept there. When designing the prison, the authorities decided to create a place of detention where the risks of attack on prison staff and the probability of escape would be as close to zero as possible, and they succeeded. The prison has 6 levels of security, from the highest to the least restricted one. The criminals are kept in solitary cells of the highest security level. They spend 23 hours a day there. The inmates can't determine their location inside the prison, nor can they determine the cardinal points, as all they can see through the narrow window is the sky. Additional bars are installed in the solitary confinement cells, separating the heavy door from the holding area, so that the guards can enter without fear of an unexpected attack. Almost everything is made of concrete, including the bed, table and chair, and the shower is set to turn on and off by a timer to prevent flooding. Communication with the outside world is prohibited. The inmates are under constant surveillance. The prison is full of motion sensors and is surrounded by a fence with barbed wire almost 4 meters high. Arthur Road. The Mumbai Central Prison is located on Arthur Road. It was built back in the 1920s. The city has grown so much since then that the prison ended up being in the middle of the residential area. Today, a monorail runs right next to the prison, so passengers can look right into the inmates' windows. The main problem of this prison is overcrowding. It was designed to hold 800 prisoners, but currently there are 2,500 inmates there. Inmates sleep on the floor. They barely have enough space to stretch out. In this prison, solitary confinement is considered a gift of fate. The conditions there are appalling. Overcrowded cells contribute to the spread of disease. To make things even worse, Arthur Road Prison is known for the terrible treatment of its prisoners. But there isn't much information about this place available to the general public. Most of the inmates there have committed especially grave crimes. No one has ever escaped from this prison, but there have been attempts. Western civilizations rely on physical barriers and structures that provide for maximum isolation. Whereas in Asia, criminals are re-educated using ancient traditions and a harsh regime. At least this is the case at Fuchu Prison, which is located on the outskirts of Tokyo, and is considered one of the most cruel and well-guarded prisons on the planet. People don't get beaten there, but they do get broken psychologically, because the Japanese believe that the main purpose of the prison is to completely re-educate the criminal. In Fuchu, a number of ruthless and even meaningless rules have been introduced. For example, prisoners are advised to speak as little as possible, even during visits with relatives. Also, they aren't allowed to look the warden in the eyes. Inmates are also not allowed to talk to their neighbors during dinner. Everything, from the way the prisoners walk to their hygiene schedule, is regulated. If the inmates wet their hair on the wrong day, instead of just washing their face, they get solitary confinement. If they address the warden in the wrong way, solitary confinement. If they make a mistake in their routine, solitary confinement. Moreover, the inmates are often forced to kneel for hours in solitary confinement. All of this is done in order to permanently discourage prisoners from breaking the law again. Thanks to this method, as well as Fuchu's security, no one has ever escaped from this prison. Xinjiang. Xinjiang Prison is located in the neighboring China and is no less impregnable. It is considered one of the most secure prisons not only in the Middle Kingdom, but in the entire world. Located near Beijing, Xinjiang Prison is the safest of its kind in China. Most inmates of this prison are political prisoners, as well as corrupt officials of all kinds, from petty bribe takers to people who were once governing the country, but then got caught taking bribes. The prisoners there have no right to a name. They are identified by a combination of two numbers: starvation, a harsh regime, physical labor, and many restrictions. Escaping this prison is simply impossible. Xinjiang is a prison with the highest observation towers in the world. There are over 5,000 police officers watching the inmates. The prison was recently upgraded with advanced cells and technological equipment, making it virtually impossible to escape from Xinjiang. Portlaoise Prison. Portlaoise is an unusual city located in Ireland, with a population of about 20,000 people. Nevertheless, the tiny town managed to become famous all over the world, thanks to one of the most secure prisons on the planet. By the way, it is also one of the oldest active prisons on Earth. It was built in the 1830s. Today, any person accused of crimes against the state is sent there because of the unique security measures that are in place in this prison. It is always under control by the soldiers of the Irish Army. They guard it around the clock. A detachment of roughly a platoon, armed with rifles and anti-aircraft machine guns, patrols the prison complex. High walls are built along the entire perimeter and are equipped with security cameras and motion sensors. The prison is designed for 399 people, but only 120 prisoners are held there. The authorities believe that it is easier to control the worst criminals in the region this way. Friends, that's all for today. Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.